Hello, Michael William Denny here, the Thunder Wizard Path, thunderwizard.com. So today what I want to talk about is the 5 elements in the Northern tradition and their connection to the Norse myths. So before I get into talking about them, first thing I want to do is I want to lay down some ground assumptions that I'm coming from, so you understand where I'm coming from. When it comes to magic work, working with energy, working with magic, I treat this as a science. And scientific principles work the same no matter what culture you're from, where you live, what religion you are. So, in my view, if something is not, in terms of magic, is not universally applicable, then it's just intellectual ideas. And if the elements are going to be different for people in Europe than they are in East Asia, then I'm not interested in it, because my focus is on actual energetic work that has an effect in the external world. Okay, that's where I'm coming from. So my experience with the 5 elements is that they do exist, and they are universal energetic scientific principles that we can tap into and use. And so I have seen within a lot of Western thought that there's some discrepancy as to what the elements are, how to use them, where they're placed. So I'm coming from, my perspective is, let's find out what works everywhere, regardless of what magical practice you're in or what religion you are. Let's see how it works everywhere. And as it turns out, the Norse myths also reflect what is universally applicable in other magical practices around the world. So that's where we're going to go. The Norse myths are our only real source when it comes to the Northern tradition. That's where I'm coming from. Okay, so now let's talk about what the 5 elements are. The 5 elements are not the words that we use to describe them. For instance, water and fire are not the elements. Water and fire only describe how the universal elemental laws work. So, first let's talk about how they work. The elements are 5 laws within which energy manifests in the external universe. Okay? So these 5 laws that energy works are this. Energy does 5 things as it descends and becomes more dense in the external universe. First is ether, or what we call in the Northern tradition, atham. And that is the expanding element. The second one is air, or wind. And that is contracting. It has a contracting influence on energy. Then the third is fire. Fire rises, so it is the rising law of energy. And then we have, so what do? We have atham, air, fire, and then we have water. Water is descending, is the descending law of energy manifestation. And then the 5th is earth. Earth is the most dense. It is the centering law, and so it is also the most dense. And just as when we get closer to the earth, the gravity gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Same thing is true with this element, and so that's why we call it earth. So these are the 5 elements. We have expanding, contracting, rising, descending, and centering. Now, each one of these elements also corresponds with one of the 9 worlds and with one of the 4 cardinal directions. So there are 2 crosses within the 8 directions. And the first 4, which would be seen as the Crusader's Cross, or what people call the Celtic Cross, energy coming down this way and this way, that is the 5 elements in balance. The center would be earth. So there's the first one. We have the center is earth, and then the first direction I'm going to go is east. East is Jotunheim, or the giant world, and this is the expansive energy. And we see this characterized by the beings that live in the area of the expansive energy. The giant world. What are giants? They're these enormous creatures. The East has to do with the spring, has to do with the beginning of life. This is where Thor is also found. When you want to connect with Thor, even though Thor is a god and can go to Asgard, he is also very connected to the giant world. He travels to the giant world a lot. This symbolizes that Thor is the dynamic intermixing of the powers of heaven and earth. He is the son of Odin and the giantess Earth, so he himself is half giant. And so he is the guardian that we can go to if we want to go to the giant world and use the expansive energy. He is the master of that, but he's also protecting us from the overexpansion of the element of Atham. Now, Atham means life breath. And what happens when you inhale? When you inhale, your lungs expand. This is the expanding energy of Atham, of the giant world. Now, in direct opposition to the giant world is the home of the Vanier. The Vanier are at war with the giants. Now, why is that? Well, the Vanier are repeatedly, in the Norse myths, they are repeatedly spoken of as being masters of wind and air. When you read the Lay of Alvise, he talks over and over again when he speaks about the Vanier, he speaks of wind and air. So this is the Vanier. Now, the wind element is the contracting element. This is why they're at war. It's because they are two polar opposites of the same power of air or Atham. Atham is the expansive power of air, and wind is the contracting power of air. When you breathe, you inhale, your lungs expand with Atham energy. When you exhale, you create wind by contracting your lungs, and out of your lungs comes wind. Energetically speaking, when you inhale, you're bringing Atham energy or life breath energy into the body, into the cells. When you exhale, you are getting rid of toxins, and you're energetically putting that Atham energy out into your aura to protect it. So this is the dynamic balance between expanding and contracting. The dynamic balance between the giant world and the Vanier, the Vanaheim, the contracting world of wind. So we've talked a little bit about that. Now, on the other side of the cross, we have Niflheim in the north, and we have Muspelheim in the south. Niflheim is the realm of water. This is the descending power of water. And Niflheim, within Niflheim, we have the primordial mist, we have the primordial water, we have the primordial ice. It is the matrix, the void power in the external universe from which all life is nourished and from which all life comes. North is the path of true mystery and magic. It is the path of the feminine, the path of the witches. Path of true magic is in the north. And we know this not only because it's in the North Myths, but it's in our language. Every time you say the word north, without realizing it, you are describing the power of Niflheim. Because the definition for the original word for north meant left and under. Now this says two things. First, it says that the default position for the Germanic people was to face east. This is also reflected in our East Indian cousins, our Indo-European cousins in India. You know, when they start many of their rituals, they start facing east. So when you're facing east, north is going to be to your left, and it's going to be down. So it's going to be left and down. Find it very interesting, that's exactly what the Norse myths say. It says that the north is down. and it is left, meaning that it's the feminine side of the body, having to do with the power of magic, the power of the feminine, the power of birth, of nurturing. So all of these magical principles are within our language. If we just learn our language, we learn our myths, we're going to rediscover what's already there. These are universal principles. It's okay that we don't have a direct connection to the wizards of 2,000 years ago. Because since we have these tools, we can, if we just open our minds and look at it, we can find the clues that will give us the eternal principles within our own religious and mystical heritage. Okay, so this is going to be it for this one. I'm going to go on into the next clip, and I'll continue talking about the directions and the elements.